My name's Angelo, and welcome to We Want Picks. This is the only channel dedicated to UFC fight picks and DraftKings lineups run by MMA insiders and professional fighters. Every week, I join Dan Kramer and Nick Newell, two longtime professional fighters that have fought at the highest levels on the planet, as well as Jacob Lyons, a skinny kid from Indiana. So join us every single week for our full fight card breakdowns, our individual fight card breakdowns, our betting guide, and our DraftKings lineups. Next up at UFC 260, we have Sean, I'm pretending to be undefeated O'Malley versus Thomas Almeida.
How dare you?
How dare me? I'm not pretending to be undefeated.
No,
It's definitely, this is one of the few fights where I'm rooting against Sean O'Malley. I just dislike the guy. I agree with the odds. I agree with the DraftKings cost, but I just dislike the guy. His last fight made it even easier to dislike him. But Nick, I'll go to you. What are your thoughts here? Do you think Sean O'Malley just bounces right back from that bizarre foot ankle injury, or what are your thoughts?
O'Malley is really good. I mean, he got the knockout on the Contender Series. He had the knockout of Quinones, who's pretty good. The Wineland one was insane. Wineland had a great career, but he's been a little more chinny as of late, as you saw with his last fight with Castaneda. So I think that is a little telling. But he's so fast. He's so athletic. And he can grapple too. I mean, he did some grappling matches when he was on his USADA suspension. I think if you look, he went the distance with Gilbert Melendez, and he tapped out Gomi. So he's well-rounded. He's young still, and he's really fast twitch. He hits hard. Almeida started off with kind of the same hype that O'Malley has now. He was knocking a lot of people out. I think he was like 20-0 before he got knocked out by Cody Garbrandt. An absolute savage, knocking out some pretty good fighters, some pretty good strikers. Yves Jabouin is a win that he had, which is really impressive because Yves Jabouin was doing real well at the time. And as of late, he's kind of fell flat. I mean, he lost to Jimmy Rivera. He got knocked out by Cody. He has a knockout sandwiched in between there. Martinez outclassed him. Rob Font knocked him out. So he's kind of not been very impressive as of late, and he had a long layoff, and he came back and kind of got worked. I'd favor O'Malley in this fight, but man, I don't know, like if he's gonna roll his ankle or his body is even strong enough for something weird not to happen. So I'm just staying away from it.
Yeah, he's great. You're right. He's a great fighter. I just dislike him for the whole. I don't understand the weird I'm undefeated act. That's just bizarre to me. Jacob's doing it with his lock of the week, which is also bizarre to me. But it's just he should win. Almeida's coming down in weight. He's coming off of how many knockout losses in a row, or how many losses in a row? He's coming off. He's a 3-fight skid. He's coming down in weight. I mean, this is set up for Sean O'Malley to bounce right back so they can build him back up. I think his last fight was telling, though, where I don't want to say he took the easy way out, because I'm sure he was in incredible pain, but he took the easy way out. I mean, he just straight up stopped fighting and was like, oh, well, I lose. And now he's pretending, oh, I didn't lose. I was just too hurt to continue fighting. The whole thing is weird to me. I think Sean O'Malley wins. I think this is set up for him to win. But Dan, I mean, what are your thoughts here? Do you agree with that?
I mean, they may be thinking it's set up for him to win, but I do not agree that this is an easy fight for him by any means. So Thomas Almeida was the real deal, like you said, coming up. There was a lot of hype around him. He's lost some fights, but the fights he lost to were Jonathan Martinez, who's a contender, Rob Font, who's a killer, Jimmy Rivera, unanimous decision, and Cody Garbrandt. Those are his 4 losses. So the guys he lost to are legit top of the pack, top of the food chain guys. All right. So his last fight, I think it was his last fight against Martinez. He was very competitive in that fight. It was a good striking match. They went back and forth. Martinez was a step ahead of him, but he was not by any means dominated in that fight. Like he got outclassed a little bit, but he was just a step behind. So I think he's much better than the odds makers are giving him credit for. So Sean O'Malley is also very good, right? At first, when I saw this line, I was like, this is the stupidest line I've ever seen. I'm going to bet on Almeida, which I may still end up doing. But after watching O'Malley, I will admit he is a very talented kid. He's got great footwork, keeps distance really well. He's athletic, switches stances. He throws some unorthodox stuff. But his biggest thing is he always keeps guys at the right distance. He uses his footwork. He baits you to come in, and he catches you with that big shot. He's very, very good at it. Somewhat similar to a McGregor, really, with the whole aura and hype behind him, and just how he keeps delivering in these fights with knockouts. So overall, I think O'Malley is talented, but I think the line is off. I think this is going to be a tough test for him. And I think it's going to be a competitive fight either way. And the other big thing I'll say is O'Malley has had foot problems in multiple fights dating back to a few years ago where the first one happened. So, I would not be surprised. Actually, I would be surprised if we don't see Almeida coming out and immediately just going to calf kicks, leg kicks, and trying to go after that leg. So I see this being a tougher fight than people think. I also wouldn't be surprised if O'Malley landed that big shot, but I'm banking on the first scenario happening. And I do have Almeida in my lineup right now for $7,000 because I think it's going to be a scrap and potentially an upset. So I've got him in there.
Yeah, so I have Sean O'Malley in my lineup, and I dislike him, but I like winning DraftKings more than I dislike Sean O'Malley. And I think he can get it done. You bring up valid points with Thomas Almeida's losses. So I talked about his losses, his 3-fight skid. That isn't, an incredible lineup to lose to. And we're going to talk about Tyron Woodley in a bit. And it's a very similar story. But so that is interesting. But 3 losses in a row, it's hard to come back from that. But, we'll see. And I'm going to contradict myself when we break down the Tyron Woodley fight. But Jacob, what are your thoughts here? You're a big Sean O'Malley guy, but have you done a 180, even though you've somehow adopted his personality?
Yeah, there's nothing more that I hate when someone loses and acts like they didn't lose. That drives me absolutely insane. So that did kind of rub me the wrong way, but I don't think you gave him enough credit in that fight. It wasn't like he rolled his ankle and then immediately gave up. He hurt his ankle and kept fighting and kept every time, and he was still pressuring forward. He kept rolling it, and finally he rolled it and he went to the ground. I think at that point he knew, I'm not gonna be able to win this fight. So he did kind of curl up at the ball at the end there, but he was definitely trying to fight on that ankle, and Dan nailed it too. He's had issues with that foot. He's finished another fight where I think he won the fight, I think, but it was like he had a broken foot. So it'll be interesting to see if anything like that comes out or comes up in the fight. I have Sean O'Malley in my lineup, and it's just because of what I saw in that Almeida Garbrandt fight. So that was the first fight I think he lost. I think he was 21-0 and then fought Garbrandt. And that was Garbrandt when he was at the top of his game. And Garbrandt is known for his speed, very, very fast. Now, Almeida had real issues with the speed, the in and out of Garbrandt. And Sean doesn't have that type of in and out pocket speed, but in and out speed, he's got all of the speed that Garbrandt has, if not quicker. And Almeida had real issues with Garbrandt. You could tell he was getting hit a lot. O'Malley, I think that he is scared of being hurt and really scared of losing that first fight, I guess, that he would say. I think this is a boring decision for O'Malley. I have him in my lineup because he has that KO power, but I think he's very good, like Dan said, of keeping distance. I think he can just point this, boom, boom, dance around, boom, boom, dance around, piece him up. Almeida's not going to look good after the fight. It'll be an easy win, but I think this is going to be kind of a boring decision, but I have him in my lineup because he has that KO capability.
Yeah, it's interesting. We'll see what happens. I'm looking forward to the fight for sure, because either way, we get a now back on track Sean O'Malley, which is good for the division, or a back on track Thomas Almeida, who can put it all together and ride another streak. So it should be a fun fight, and we'll see what happens.
I will say this feels a lot to me like where I was betting against Conor McGregor multiple times in a row because I kept being like, he's not that good. Like, the hype train's going to end. So this could be another one of those situations where O'Malley comes out and starches them and I lose money again, but I don't know. I'm going with Almeida.
Yeah, it'll definitely be interesting. Before you go, check out the description below. In there, we have links to our Facebook, our Twitter, our Instagram, and more importantly, to our DraftKings League. Check out the league, join the league, participate in the contests, and as we get going and as you start winning, we're going to start handing out gift cards and participating and doing things like that. So check those out. Every week, there are drops on every fight card. So make sure you check out this channel and our social media on Saturday before the fights start so that you have our most updated lineups and picks.